everybody. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Qadira Jackson.
And welcome to KiddieNomics! Yay! Another fun-filled edition of Kids Financial Literacy with KiddieNomics. We are super excited to have you kiddies here today, and we are super excited for our guest, Miss Qadira Jackson. We are going to talk about how to run for politics. And so I'm so happy about this topic because it's going to tell us how do we, as kids or adults, how do we get involved? And if you do want to run for a political position, what does that look like? But before we get started with Miss Qadira, let's start off as usual. I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. There we go. All right. Welcome to KiddieNomics. All right. So welcome to all of the new kiddies that have registered in the last week or the last couple of weeks. If this is your first KiddieNomics session, no worries. Just put into the chat box, it's your first session, and the kids will always welcome you here at KiddieNomics. And of course, if you are one of our returning kiddies, we love for being here. You guys are here week after week, and we are super excited to have everybody join us back. So should we do roll call? Should we do roll call now? Yeah, let's do roll call. All right, roll call time. Tell me in the chat box. Hold on, let me open up my chat box. Tell me in the chat box, where is everybody joining us from? Let's see, who do we have? From which country? The sun. The sun, okay. Ivy says Kepler, Canada from Lily Nicholas, Canada. Nyana, hi Nyana, Canada. Michelle, oh, Canada, Brampton, yay, Brampton, from Heather. Let's see, who else do we have? New Jersey, that's awesome. So you're from the USA, that's awesome. Hi, Fran, from New Jersey. I said, Ivy, you're from Kepler 22B, which is awesome. Let me see, who else? Somewhere in the world or Mars. Hi, Logan. Good job, Logan. Ronell says Canada. Alicia says Canada. Yay. Thank you, everybody, for joining this week. Yes, we typically say which country you're from, not state. But if you tell me the state, I then will know which country you're from. So that's okay, too. Thanks, Fran. All right. So now let's get started on KiddieNomics. Before we get started, let's go through what is KiddieNomics, right? This is your first time. You want to make sure you understand you're in the right spot. So KiddieNomics will help kids ages 8 to 13, really, to develop a healthy relationship towards financial literacy, helping to start kids off on the right path to have a successful financial future. That's what we want for you. That's what I want for her. That's what she wants for me. We want everybody to have a successful financial future. So that's what KiddieNomics is. And so let me go through some housekeeping items so everybody understands how KiddieNomics works, right? So to let everybody know, this session and all of our KiddieNomics sessions is being recorded. And I will upload this video to our KiddieNomics YouTube channel by 8 p.m. tonight. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it will be uploaded to our KiddieNomics YouTube channel. So if you miss any parts of this, or maybe you didn't understand something, you can always rewind it back or watch it back on our YouTube channel and all of our other webinars. So we have a lot of webinars on our KiddieNomics YouTube channel. So you can watch back any of our past webinars if you want to get caught up. Now, just to remind everybody, we cannot see or hear any of you kids. So you must chat to us in the chat box, either up above, down below, to the side, in the corner, depending on wherever your chat box is. All right. Now, please remember in the chat box, listen, we have kids on here that are different ages. Some are older than 8 years old, or older than 13 and younger than 8. So please, I just ask everybody to be respectful of everybody's opinion. Nobody's question is stupid, or, no other silly words. We love to keep a safe and healthy community here on KiddieNomics. And speaking about it being safe, also remember that we don't like to see any private information. So I never want to see an email address, a phone number, Nothing like that. Like exactly your personal address. No personal information in the chat box because we want to keep you kiddies nice and safe, okay? And then also between, now we all like to chat in the chat box, and a lot of you kiddies have been, you know, you guys know each other by names now, so you want to chat. Just remember to always keep it polite and respectful in the chat box. And if you see me in the chat box, Miss Stacy Brown, if I'm in the chat box and I say, please, let's focus on the expert, I just want to clamor down some of the chat that's going on, okay? I want us to always make sure that the focus is on the expert to give you the information that you guys are here to learn every single week. And you guys come every week so open and ready to learn. Also, if you do raise your hands, remember to type your question into the chat box so that I can read it. I'll read it out for you, okay? All right. So this week we have Miss Qadira Jackson. I am super excited to have her on this week because I've known Qadira for a really long time. So Miss Qadira Jackson, she grew up having 150 brothers and sisters. Can we say that again? 150 brothers and sisters. That's like, right? Because her mother was a social worker who opened their home up to foster children, which is absolutely amazing. Their home, she eventually followed in her mother's footsteps, becoming a social worker, working in many fields. Prior to becoming a lawyer, she completed a degree in psychology, a degree in social work, and a postgraduate certificate in dispute resolution at York University. She continued her education, ultimately graduating from the University of Windsor with her law degree. Currently, Qadira runs her own law practice, is a counselor with the Professional Engineers of Ontario, and sits on a number of boards, including the West Scarborough Neighborhood Community Center. After working hard to better lives in Scarborough over the last 12 years, Qadira is currently running to be the Liberal candidate in the Scarborough Southwest riding. So can we please give a big KiddieNomics round of applause to Miss Qadira Jackson. She is full of wealth and knowledge, and I'm so excited to have her on KiddieNomics today. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. There we go. Hi, Miss Qadira.
Hi, how are you guys?
They are good. Let me check out if there's any questions in the chat so far, but Joshua says good, and the kids have given you a round of applause.
Awesome, thank you guys. So I'm very happy to be here. In addition to that beautiful bio that you put together to read from me, I appreciate that. I want to let you guys know that I am a wife and a mother. I have 2 young children. I have a 9-month-old and a 3-year-old. Both of them are boys, so they're very active. And you know, having young children, I want to emphasize how important it is to educate the next generation. So I want to give a round of applause to KiddieNomics for putting this together and keeping you guys informed. As mentioned in my bio, I have experience in law and social work. So I worked as a social worker before I was a lawyer. I have experience in a lot of different areas, child protection, like children's aid, elementary schools, group homes, foster homes, homeless shelters, women abuse. I've done a lot of stuff before I was a lawyer, and these are the things that remind me to stay grounded and to stay connected to the community. So I want to talk to you guys today about how I got involved in politics, different steps on being a politician, and how you can get involved and how easy it is to get involved and how important it is to get involved. So currently I'm president of a riding association in Scarborough. And as a president, I organize the volunteers in the riding, and we do fundraisers and different events, and I keep people informed. So I've been involved in Scarborough-Gilwood. It's a riding right beside the one that I'm running in, this right beside Scarborough Southwest. And I was involved, I don't know if any of you guys know politicians by name. Margaret Bast and Mitzi Hunter are 2 politicians in that riding that I've worked with. And, you know, I got involved in a very organic, easy way. It was literally as easy as my dad saying, you need to understand what's going on and how politics works. And he was involved, so he just took me one day. So interestingly enough, we were helping with a candidate and he said, come to the office. So, you know, I wanted to represent my dad well. So I put on my nice blazer and I came on down. And the guy who was running, he was talking and my dad says, keep walking. I go, where are we going? He goes, in the back. So he goes and we start moving these big signs into his car. And before you know it, I'm standing on the lawn and we're hammering signs into the ground. And I said, oh, this is fun, but why didn't you tell me? Because I had high heels on, but I was hammering signs. So it's literally, I just walked in off the street and we started volunteering. So I've also, another thing that I did right from the beginning, I was helping stapling packages. Yes, it doesn't sound exciting, but anybody can help. And there was a lot of kids there that were doing things like that. So I helped with administrative stuff. Next thing you know, I started to volunteer for fundraisers. And then I decided to join the board and I became a director and I held different positions on the board, including parliamentarian, vice president, and then president. So you look at someone saying, okay, you're president of the riding, how'd you get there? It literally started with just walking in the door. So I just wanted to let you guys know how easy it is to start and how easy it is to get involved. And I've made so many contacts along the way. I see a question.
Yes, so question, how old were you when you started stapling? Like how old can a child be to, you know, start helping out on somebody's campaign, do you think?
So I wasn't that young, actually. I was 28. I wish I was 12 or 8, you know, because then you have the advantage of understanding how politics works and getting involved. And I'm telling you, it's like a family. So you get to know people and you make friends and, you know, you go canvassing. Like that's one of the things that you can do that's very fun from a young age. In fact, I brought my son at 5 months old canvassing. So he's in the stroller and we're going door to door. Of course, this was pre-pandemic, but we're knocking on doors and he's meeting a lot of people. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for kids to get to know what's happening. And you'd be surprised how accessible politicians are. And this is something that as an adult, I kind of feel like people know, but I didn't know this until I was in university. I know it sounds silly, but I want to emphasize that politicians are there to serve you. Don't think of them as these busy people who have no time to hear you. They are there to serve you, to represent you, to help you. So when a young person comes in the door, most politicians are excited. That's the next generation. This is who I want to lead and help. And also too, you guys have an advantage. A lot of us older people, I mean, I'm not that old, but a lot of us, we struggle with social media and technology and computer stuff. And for you guys are born with it. It's easy breezy. So when you look at the teams that are around politicians, usually the communication, social media type stuff is done by young people. So we need you. We don't just say, oh, okay, yeah, you can come on board. We say, this is exciting. We need more of you.
So Michaela could get involved now. That's
right.
amazing. Awesome.
You should. In fact, you can help me. So right now I'm running for nomination and I wanted to explain to you guys how the process works. First of all, I have a question. Does anybody know the 3 levels of government?
That's a very good question. We kind of talked about it last week with Miss Jill Andrew, but we could definitely review it again this week because the kids want to know. Oh, look, they're putting in the answers. Let me just.
Wow, I can see that.
So Ibby says municipal, federal. Rosemary says municipal, provincial, federal. And Laith and Blake say federal, municipal, provincial. Ibby says provincial. It's like, yep, because we reviewed this last week. So I'm so proud you guys remember. That's awesome.
We got some smart kids over here. So you guys are correct. Municipal, federal, provincial. I'm not going to go in details, but I just wanted to make sure you guys knew the 3 levels because I wanted to tell you that I'm running provincially. So every different level has different issues that they deal with. So for my nomination, I want to explain to you how it works, because before you have a general election where you have the different parties running against each other, you have like a mini election within each party. So you're running against people in the same party to see if you can be the candidate to go to the general election. So that's the stage that I'm at right now. So to run for nomination, the first step is to fill out the paperwork, and you put in an application, and it's a very thick application, and you have to give them a lot of information, and they even look at your social media. So this is something important to know. Social media doesn't disappear. This is a topic for another day, but it doesn't disappear. And what you post reflects you, and it affects your reputation. So this is something that they look at. Did they post anything inappropriate? Anything overly controversial? Do they have, online wars with people? Are they polite? So I sent in my application. After that, you have to get vetted. Vetted is a process of going through the application and assessing whether or not you're a good candidate. Do you have anything bad that you've done in your past? Do you have anything, to offer to the community? And they look at things like that, and they look at your credit, and they look at whether you do taxes and things like that. And then once you get the green light, you have to start raising money and getting volunteers. And believe it or not, this stage, even though it's like a mini election within the party, is sometimes a little bit harder than the general election, because people are afraid to support you because they want to support the winning candidate. So you have to make sure you have a wide network of friends and family and people that care about you, because those are the people who are going to help you at this stage. And if you don't treat people well, and you don't make friends, and you don't have a good reputation, how hard is that going to be to find people to work for you and volunteer and donate? So I've called on all my friends and family to help me, and these are the ones that are going to go out and drop off flyers and make phone calls and do all these important things. Question?
Keely, I think Keely, hopefully I said your name right, Keely. She wants to know, if you want to volunteer with you, what do we need to do to contact you? How can they, if they want to volunteer with you?
So the easiest way is just by my email. It's my first name, last name, Qadira Jackson.ca.
Perfect. Okay, so what we'll do is, just so you guys know, on every KiddieNomics webinar, when you go onto our YouTube channel, on every video, I put the contact information for every one of our guest experts. So you will see Miss Qadira's email address there if you would like to volunteer with her, okay? Please ask your parents prior to doing anything. So a couple of you are wondering, how do you sign up for our YouTube channel? It's free to register, of course. It's a free channel, but please ask your parents before you do so. If you'd like to volunteer with Ms. Qadira, please ask your parents before you reach out and contact her. But that is so awesome. Look at these kids already wanting to get involved. That is so amazing. Laith wants to know, how do we spread this message to more people during the pandemic?
That's a very good question. So I'm going to continue talking about the process, because it's very different now. Very different now that there's a pandemic. Normally, you would just go canvassing in the riding. So the riding that you're running in, the people who live in the riding are the only ones that can vote for you. So normally you'd go and you knock doors, just like in a general election, and you say, hi, I need you to come and support me. And then on a specific day, the people would come and they would vote, like on a ballot, just like a regular election. But because of the pandemic, it's going to be done very differently. So first of all, I haven't been able to canvass. So we have to do phone calls. I did a literature drop. So we dropped off my literature so they could see my flyers, and then call right after and say, hi, I just dropped off literature. Did you see it? Let me tell you about myself. And then when people get interested, they have to register online. Then the party will contact them and ask them for their identification, and you have to send a picture of your ID. And then the party will mail you a PIN number in the mail. And then on a specific day, you go in and vote with the PIN number. So it's good that people don't have to come out, but it's more complicated. So it's about getting that message out and explaining to people the different levels and the different steps of what has to be done. So I would say that in a nutshell, I've been doing a lot of calls because we can't do that face-to-face, type of outreach.
And then in your calls, what do the calls kind of sound like? What are you speaking to the constituents of that riding about?
So first of all, I say, do you know that there's going to be a nomination meeting soon? Oh, I didn't realize that. This is not something that's necessarily in the news or public, and the nomination date's different for every riding. So I say, do you know? And then they say, no. Is that something you'd be interested in being involved in? I just wanted to introduce myself to you. I'm a candidate running for nomination. And I tell them about myself, and I tell them about my experiences, and the fact that I had 150 brothers and sisters, and that I have my own law practice, and that I have a social work background, and I let them know that I understand some of the issues in the riding and things like that. And then if they're interested, I get them to sign up as a member and register to vote. And then I explain to them the process, and I tell them that my team will contact them to tell them about the next steps. First step, you sign up. That's pretty much how my calls have been going. And of course, if people are engaged and intrigued, they'll talk about issues or ask me questions about myself.
That's awesome. And who does the calls? Is it you personally, or is it your volunteers?
Both. So there's some calls that, my team tells me, okay, these are important for you to do yourself. Such as current members. So people who are already signed up as current members are already allowed to vote. So I call those ones on my own. And then other ones my team will call, and then they'll let me know if they want me to call that person. For example, if the person says, yeah, I want to be involved, I'm super excited, I want to know more about the candidate, then I will call them after.
So speaking about voting then, how old can you be to first vote in an election, and how does a person go about doing that? Like, a lot of these kids are 8 to 13. So, oh, look, we have one answer.
Right.
How old do you have to be to vote?
18.
Let's see. Mickey says 18.
I already had it.
Tim says 18. Heather says 19. What else do you guys get? Nelma says 18 in Canada. 21 says
I
Anne.
was gonna say that also.
Oh,
18 to
21.
20.
Oh, 21. Mahalia says 21. What's the answer, Miss Qadira?
So you guys are going to be very surprised at this. At the nomination stage, the answer is 14.
What?
14.
Look at this. So you guys have a few more years.
Right. So the interesting
Jenna
thing is
says,
that,
wow.
right, for nomination, it's a more relaxed process. So 14-year-olds can vote for who they want the nominee to be, although they can't vote in the general election. Interestingly, you also don't have to be a Canadian citizen to vote for nomination. For the general election you do, but for nomination you just have to be a permanent resident. So people who can't normally participate can participate in this process. And those are communities that I want to reach out to and say, listen, you actually have a say this time. We want to know what you think, and we want you involved. So it's something to think about. If you guys are 14, you are old enough.
That is so amazing. So now that is something I did not know. So Mickey can vote for the nomination when she's 14. That is so awesome that we could get involved so early.
Right.
That's amazing. We had a question from Leith and Blake. Do you get the time to spend with your family with all the stuff going on as a politician?
So to clarify, I'm not a politician yet, but I do have a very realistic expectation, having worked so closely with politicians in the past. Yeah, it's difficult to manage time, but I currently am a lawyer, so I have long hours right now, and I manage time how I can. So I, for example, will stay up late at night and do work and review documents so that I can see my kids in the daytime and eat dinner with them. As a politician, it might be a little bit difficult to do that, to own my time the same way as I do now. But I think that I want to make sure that I bring my kids to as many events as I can. So, if there's events where, it's a sit down dinner and I might have to come up and talk for 10 minutes, I'm bringing my kids, right? And I'll just go and do my 10-minute speech and come back and sit with them. And I want them to engage with people and to socialize and to understand what politics is from a very young age. And that's my way of spending time with them as well, and them growing and learning to be social people.
That's awesome. So that's good. So even the time that you spend meeting people, you're still with your family. So you're still spending family time, but engaging them also on your side of the world too.
Right.
So it's kind of what we do here at KiddieNomics, which is amazing. All right. There's no more. What is your, Lisa wants to know, what is your work shift?
So as I said, I'm self-employed. So it doesn't mean that I have less hours. It just means that I can control when I work. I might work more than somebody else, but I control when I work. I try really hard to eat dinner with my family every day, as I said. And so I don't have a specific shift or work hours. It's different every day. But for the most part, I'm doing a lot of paperwork at night when the rest of my family is sleeping.
That makes sense. All right. Oh, okay, Samuel, got it. Okay, thanks, Samuel. Okay, let me see. Is there any other questions? No.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So if there's no more questions, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the next stage. So if or when I win the nomination, the next stage is preparing for the general election. So this is probably the election that you guys would be more familiar with, and you see all the signs on the lawn and there's a big production about it. Everyone's excited about it. And so when I first started getting involved, I think I was very surprised about how grassroots it was. I just imagined that each campaign would be like a franchise, and then you open shop and they all look the same, and you have a big, delivery of stuff and you have furniture, but it's not like that. And this is part of the beauty of it. It's just people coming together and making something out of nothing. So you have to get an office, which is usually a storefront. You want something that's open to the public so people can walk by and see it. And then you get your signs up and you put them on the storefront. And then you have volunteers that just come in and they drop off free furniture. And you might have 7 chairs and they're all different and none of them match. And it might not look nice, but it's still beautiful because it just came from people who want you to win, people who care, people who are dedicated to the party. So, that's something that was surprising to me. And so then once you get the infrastructure in place and you get computers and phones and things like that set up, then you have to start hiring people. And that costs money. So people have to raise money. You have to do fundraisers. And does anybody have any idea how much it costs to run an election?
No, that's a very good question. Let's ask the kids, how much money do you think it costs to run an election? Samuel says 500. Tim says, nope, not an answer yet. Hundreds says Melanie. Leah says thousands. 50,000 says 1. 10,000. 5 million. That's a lot. 70,000 says Mickey. Nelma says 5,000 to 10,000. So the kids are in the thousands.
Okay.
And so, Heather says 100,000 to 150,000.
Okay.
What's the answer?
So there's no exact answer, but I would say around 70,000 to 150,000.
All right, where's the range?
Good job. So,
70,000 to 150,000. So how do you find enough money to run?
So it sounds like a lot of money, but you have people that help you. And once you're the candidate, remember I told you it's harder to run for nomination because you have to rely on your friends and family to support you. When you get to the general election stage, you'll have a lot of people, strangers you've never seen before, just walk in off the street into your office. Hi, I'm a Liberal. I want to support you. I live in the riding. What can I do? And then you give them the options of where they can help and if they want to donate money, and there's people who help you. So I wouldn't let that be something to deter you or to scare you. It just comes together, right? So when people walk in and ask where they can help, I want to tell you some of the options. And these are options where a lot of you guys can help too. Things that you can do, you can make phone calls. There's no reason why someone who's young can't make phone calls. You know, especially if you're like a teenager, you just say, hi, I'm calling on behalf of so-and-so, and I wanted to know if we can rely on your support, and ask them yes or no. And it's pretty easy because they give you a script, right? Question?
Yes. Are they calling from your office, or can they, for example, because we're in through this, restrictive time, can they call from their own home and you give them, like, how does that work? Would you supply them with a list and number and and they do the calls from home?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So there's a software that helps you to make phone calls from home. Because there's also concerns about privacy. So you don't just send them a list of everybody's contact information. The software helps that you can make the calls without exposing too much information about people. And so my volunteers who have been helping me have been doing it from home. So that's a very good question. In the past, they would have phones set up in the physical offices. And so, of course, because of COVID, we're trying to work around that, but I'm sure that will open up again. And it's kind of fun actually calling in the office and being there side by side, because, you take a break and then you get to know people. And I told you, just being a part of a party, it's like a family, and you get to know the different people very quickly, and you make long lasting friends. In addition to making phone calls, of course, when things open up, you can canvass. And canvass is going door to door, knocking on the door, giving flyers, asking people if they know that there's an election coming, and if we can rely on your support. So again, that's something that young people can do. And if you're very young, you don't have to go alone, but you go with your parents, you learn, you meet people, you hand out flyers, get involved. And it's just something that I love seeing young people do, and something that I expect to have my children involved in always. As I said, I brought my first one from 5 months old.
Which is
So
truly amazing.
another thing that you can do is putting up signs. There's small signs and big signs, and each politician, when they run for general election, have thousands of signs. And the small ones are easy to put in, like they have little wires and you just poke them into the floor. The big ones are harder. You have to put like a big wooden block into the ground, and you have to hit it with this big metal thing. So that's something that you might not be able to do on your own, but the little ones you can do on your own, or you can help a grown-up with that. So putting up signs, canvassing, phone calls are the main ways. And of course, raising money. As a young person, you might not have a network to say, oh, let me give you a call, can you give money? But you can get involved by volunteering. You can check people in at the front door and write down their names. There's so many different things that you can do to help with events and fundraising events and admin work. Remember I told you I was stapling papers? That's something that anyone who can operate a stapler can help with. If you're 10 years old and you know how to push a stapler, then yeah, you can help, right? And then lastly, and remember I told you that you guys are experts at social media, and a lot of us older people are struggling. I'm young enough that I had computers growing up, but I didn't see my first computer till grade 6. And when I did, it was a big, giant, clunky computer. And instead of a mouse, we had a black trackball attached to the keyboard. And so that's not something I grew up with from day one like you guys. So sometimes, you have Twitter and you're like, okay, I don't want to put the wrong hashtag. Let me call these young people and ask them, is this the right one? And, so that's something that not only do people welcome young people to be a part of, they're hoping and begging for you guys to come and help with that. So, those are the main ways that people, especially young people, can get involved. And yeah, just wondering if there's any more questions about that.
Well, they had some questions, not specifically about that, but they did have a few questions. One, they'd like to know, because you are a lawyer, they had some questions regarding you being a lawyer. They want to know, how much did you have to study to become a lawyer? Is it a lot of work? And what is the salary range as a lawyer?
Okay, so yes, it was a lot of work. I will say that I took 10 years of schooling, but that doesn't have to be the case. It's because I wasn't sure that I wanted to go that route. And, I did the social work degree first, and I worked as a social worker and things like that. But I will say that you could do it in 6 years. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. A lot of people say, oh, it takes too long, and oh, that's 6 whole years. But the reality is, sometimes people will go and they'll do college first, and then they do university. And I have nothing against college, but if you want to be a lawyer, you don't need to go to college first. So I know people that they go to college first and they do the law clerk program. Then they say, okay, I really liked that. I'm going to do the paralegal program. Then they do the paralegal program so that they can do more things. And they say, I really like that. Now I want to go to law school. And then you got to do 6 years starting from that point. And you probably already did like 4 or 5 years. So I always tell young people this: if you know you want to be a lawyer, just go right into it. You need one degree, any degree. And people say, oh, what should I take? Should I take political science? You take something that you love, because you have to have good grades. And if you like it, you're going to have great grades. So I did something that I really enjoyed. I did social work. I have a friend who literally has a degree in dance, and she became a lawyer after. So I will say that for me, it took a longer, but if I knew exactly what I wanted and I had somebody like myself telling you, and like if I had someone telling me that it takes 6 years, go straight, do this, then maybe I could have done it faster. And it's important to see people that look like you as a lawyer, because I think that's something that also kind of intimidated me from taking this route. And that's why I like to talk to youth and encourage them to become lawyers and to further their education, because I didn't have that. I didn't know anybody. I had nobody to talk to. So when people have questions about how to become a lawyer, I'm very excited to answer that. And I will say that law school itself, it wasn't hard. It was just a lot of work. So my favorite joke to say is that the most important thing I learned from law school was how to function on no sleep. It is a lot of work. But as I said, nobody fails on law school. Nobody can't handle it. It's just the volume. But so it's not something to be intimidated about. There's a lot more Black lawyers as time goes on, and people that you can reach out to and ask questions to and understand the process.
Well, Michelle says you are very smart, Miss Jackson.
Oh, thank you.
And Blanca says, thank you. That is great advice. So
I saw another comment pop up about someone who wants to be a lawyer, but they're scared. Yes. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, Kelsey says, I want to be a lawyer, but I'm scared.
See, the thing is, there's nothing to be afraid of, because first of all, I told you, like, it's almost impossible to fail, right? And then number two, what is a lawyer? It's anything. If you're afraid of going to court and you're afraid of litigation and that's something that you're not interested in, then you don't have to. For the most part, I don't go to court. I mostly do paperwork and I draft documents, and so there's so many different things you can do as a lawyer. You can be a mediator. You can do politics. You can make it into something that you're comfortable doing. First step is you need one whole degree in anything, and then law school, and then you make what you want out of it.
That's a very good motivating point, right? Yeah, for sure. Let me see what the kids say. Joshua says you have to put your mind to it so you can do it. That is very true, right? And Tim says when you fail or make mistakes, that's how you learn, right? That's a good one. That's amazing. These kids are always so smart. Another child says, my sister wants to be a lawyer. Awesome. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, I just want to emphasize to people that they shouldn't be afraid of post-secondary school. You know, if you go to college because you know where you want to go, and college is going to give you the hands-on experience to get there, then go. If you want to do something that requires university, go straight to university. Don't be afraid. And you know, this is another thing that I want to say, that sometimes you can't always trust the guidance counselors. You have to think for yourself and be confident in what you want to do, you know. You know, talk to your parents and say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a mechanic, and then they'll help you, tell you which direction to go. If you want to do plumbing, then you go to a college and it'll teach you hands-on experience, right? So you just have to know what your end goal is before you decide what kind of education you want after school.
That's great advice. That's great advice. Thank you, Ms. Qadira. Let me see. Is there any other questions for Ms. Qadira? Can you tell someone to be good and show? I'm not sure what you mean, Layla. So can you retype your question? Okay, is there any other questions? No, so we learned a lot today. We learned you could be 14 to vote in the nomination, but Ms. Qadira, how old do you have to be to vote for to vote in the general election?
18 to 21.
18 to 21 says Mickey.
Yeah, 18.
Still citizen.
18. All right. So some of you may have a few years yet to go, but maybe it's closer to get involved at 14 to get involved in the nomination. So that's amazing.
And you don't have to be a citizen.
And you have to be a citizen.
No, you don't have to be for the nomination level.
Oh, yes, for the nomination. But do you need to be a citizen for the general election?
You do. So it's nice that we could find ways to engage more people at this stage, right?
Absolutely. Especially the kids wanted to know, like, how can they get involved? They always want to know, how can they affect change?
Right. And so there's a couple ways. So when we're in the election mode and you see a storefront with a sign, just walk in. Literally, it's a storefront for a reason, because they want people to walk in. If you want to find out where the office is, then you can just Google the politician's name. You know, if you want to know where they are, you Google them, you find out where their office is. And one thing you need to know is that I told you that politicians are there to serve you, right? Having said that, they have an office in the riding where you live that's open to the public to listen to your concerns. So you can book a time to meet with the politician in your riding. And they'll sit down and talk to you and ask you what your concerns are, and they'll see what they can do to help you. So when I tell you they're there to serve you, I mean it literally. They're there to serve you. So, you know, take advantage of that. If you want to just to meet them and to see if you can get involved, or to find out how you can be an intern, those are all things that you can go to the constituency office. That's what it's called, a constituency office. And that office is specifically for your riding. Some politicians are also ministers. So that means they literally have two jobs. One job is to serve the people in the riding where they're the politician, and their other job is to run a ministry. So does anybody know any types of ministries?
Do you know any types of ministries? No. Nikki says no. Let me see what the kids say. Does anybody know any types of ministries? Leif and Blake say no. Logan says no. No. Tim says community. Lisa, no. Ibby, no. Michelle says not really.
Okay, so
no.
I'm glad I brought it up, because you guys don't even know what ministries are. A ministry is like a department. So the Ministry of Education. Oh, I saw someone say education. Awesome. Right? Ministry of Education.
A lot. Agriculture minister, commerce.
Exactly. So every ministry, so like every department has a leader, and that's called the Minister of Education, the Minister of Transportation, right? And so if your MPP is a minister, they have two jobs and they have two different staff, two groups of employees. And the ones in the riding, their job is to serve you, and they don't get involved in the other job. So, I just want to emphasize that there's always access to the politician in your riding, always. And having said that, on all three levels, they all have a commitment to the community. Is there another question?
Yes, so we have two more questions and then we'll wrap up with Ms. Qadira so we can finish on time today for 6 o'clock, which will be awesome. Okay, two questions is, one was, who was this from? Somebody wanted to know, Layla wanted to know, how does it feel to be a lawyer? And somebody else wanted to know, how do you get the nomination? How do you get nominated?
Okay, so I saw another question too about how long I've been a lawyer for. So okay, so I've been practicing for 10 years, and I told you it took me like 10 years to get there, but that's not going straight, and that's including like working in between and stuff. And so the question about the nomination, it's a combination of things. So you just have to have the most members and the most people who come out to vote for you. It's as simple as that. And in order to increase the members, you have to do different things. Like, for example, my campaign, we have a team and we're dropping off literature. We drop off flyers to people's houses. We make phone calls. If I see someone walking on the street, I'll stop them and say, here's my flyer, vote for me. And, you're doing Facebook ads and social media and posting your website and sending out graphics that have your website on it. Yes, like a business. I see someone say like a business. It's like marketing. It's like marketing a business. And luckily I have experience in that. Having my own practice, I had to wear that hat too. I was finding clients and giving out my cards and networking and going to events. So, I definitely see the connection. It's very similar to networking and, trying to get clients for your business.
Fantastic. All right. So I think that's it. Did we answer all the questions? I think pretty much we did. Oh, there was one last one that the kids kept on asking. What is the salary range for a lawyer? Do you know that?
I don't know if I could tell you a range, but I would say that you get a significant increase each year. And when you start off, you might start off lower than people expect, but maybe like 80 to 100 to start. And then it's up from there. And some lawyers, after so many years of experience, charge like $1,000 an hour. Can you imagine that? So the top, the top range doesn't, like, I don't know, it's just, it can be a lot. So imagine how many hours you can put in at $1,000 an hour, and then you can kind of have an idea that it can be very lucrative. And as I said, you can recreate yourself. That's one thing that I really love about law. If you go to school to be, a doctor or an engineer, it's more specific what you're trained to do. As a lawyer, you can do almost anything. And a lot of people hire lawyers to do different things that are not traditional law. And as I said, if you don't like court, you don't have to go to court. If you love court, you can only go to court. If you want to create your own special niche because you have this experience, you can be a criminal lawyer for 10 years and then one day decide that you want to be a family lawyer. And that's allowed, right?
I think the kids say, okay. Is there an age limit to be a lawyer?
No, I know 80-year-old lawyers that still go to court.
How young can you be to be a lawyer?
That's a very good question. So when I was in high school, we actually had grade 13, believe it or not. I might be aging myself now. So now you guys finished school a year earlier than I did. And so by 17, you're done university. You start you're done high school and you're entering university, if you go right away, your first degree is done by 20 years old. And then if you go right away to law school, your second degree is done by 23. So,
So you could be a lawyer at 23 if you go
yeah,
straight into it,
right.
into the process.
Right. And so any complaint that, oh, it takes too long and I'm going to be too old, that's nonsense, because 23 is very, very young to be starting such an amazing career.
That's amazing.
You know that someone's asked earlier when I started law school at 26. So imagine being finished by 23.
Wow.
You know, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. All right, Miss Qadira, this was so phenomenal. We learned a tremendous amount, didn't we, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. We learned a lot today. So we'd like to give you a big KiddieNomics round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as I told the kids, Miss Qadira's contact information will be in the description part of our YouTube, the video on our YouTube channel. So it will be down below. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and the video will be posted by 8 p.m. tonight, so you'll be able to see it. Timmy says, thank you so much, Miss Jackson. You are an inspiration to humankind. Look at that.
This was a very fun experience. I want to thank you, Stacy and Michaela and KiddieNomics. I had a good time with you guys. Thank you, kids, for being so engaged and asking such awesome questions.
Thanks. They are awesome. KiddieNomics community is amazing. So thank you so much for joining us. All right, so let me wrap up as I usually do. All right, hang on, Ms. Qadira, if you can just stay online with us. Let me share my screen. All right, so last question that I ask on every single webinar is, what would happen if kids became more financially literate? And our answer is?
Real change that impacts the world.
Real change that impacts the world. And why is that? Because the more financially literate you become, it just gives you the foundation to be whatever it is that you want to be, whether or not you want to be an athlete or a doctor or a lawyer or a politician, you will always need financial literacy. Whether or not you have a lot of money or you have a little bit of money, it doesn't matter. You'll always need financial literacy to help manage your funds, to help either make you a lot of money or maybe get yourself, out of debt or whatever it is that you want to become, right? So what is an ambassador? We like to call you kiddies our young financial literacy ambassadors. What is an ambassador? An ambassador is an authorized messenger or representative. So you guys are all authorized to go out there and share your knowledge with the world. Share the knowledge that you've just learned right now on KiddieNomics. You can go back to your class on Monday and say, hey, did you know that you can vote in the nomination for a candidate at 14? Like, no other kid is going to know that. I can almost guarantee it. So you know what? You guys learned so much on KiddieNomics. We want you guys to share it with your friends and your family and your community, because the more that you share it, the stronger that you become, and the stronger that your friends and family and community becomes. Because why? Knowledge is our superpower, right? And if knowledge is our superpower, it is literally the more that you share your knowledge, the stronger that you'll become, okay? All right, let's go through some of our schedule for the next coming weeks on KiddieNomics. So next week, we have Mr. Ryan Henry. He is going to be talking to us on Friday, March 26th about commercial real estate. So we've done a lot about real estate on KiddieNomics, but next week we're going to start talking about commercial real estate. And that's like the buildings that you see or a shopping mall. Those are all things that are commercial real estate. A store, that's commercial, okay? Then after that, we have a break on KiddieNomics because it's going to be Good Friday. So Friday, April 2nd, there is no KiddieNomics webinar, sorry. We are observing the holiday, so there's no KiddieNomics webinar, but on Friday, April 9th, we'll be back with Miss Gloria, who is on KiddieNomics in January. She will be back, and we're gonna be talking about how do taxes affect your investments. This is a really important one also, okay? Because taxes play a very big part in our wealth. And then after that, we are going to have on two lawyers, Miss Cynthia Mason and Miss Kimberly, and they're going to talk to us about how to trademark your name or your business. That's a really big one because some of you kiddies are all kid bosses and entrepreneurs, and maybe you want to launch, you're trying to launch your own, I don't know, comic book, or we've done book publishing here on KiddieNomics, your own store about something. So you're going to need to know about trademarks, right? So we are going to have that on Friday, April the 16th. Okay, hold on. Let me check the chat box because I see you guys are messaging a lot. So let me just see. Timmy says, this is the best business ever. KiddieNomics. Woohoo! Thank you. All right, let me move this to the side. All right, then right after that, I want to mention this one because this is a really special one. Every KiddieNomics webinar is special because we learn so much from every single expert. But we do have Miss Marcy Ian, formerly of The Social. She is now the MP Liberal MP Liberal seat in Toronto, and we are having her on, and we're going to talk about the power of pivoting. So I wanted to mention this one because just like we did with Miss Jill Andrew, if you do have any questions for Miss Marcy, I need you to either write it in the chat or send me an email at kiddienomics101@gmail.com so that we can ask it to Miss Marcy when she comes on May 21st. I know somebody else had also asked me, when is Marcy coming on? So that's May 21st. She'll be on KiddieNomics, so that's going to be a super special one. We're super excited to have her on, okay? Okay. And so that's it. So listen, we always want to hear from you kiddies. If you have any suggestions on things that you would like to learn, any topics, any experts that you want on, listen, send me an email, please. Like I said, for anything that you do, please make sure that you ask your parents before you do anything. So whether or not you want to send me an email or register for KiddieNomics, please ask your parents before you do that. But as ambassadors, I want to know from you. This platform is for you. We do this every single week for you. So I want to make sure that we are covering topics that you also want to learn about. So if you do find value in KiddieNomics, can you please like and follow us on
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and TikTok. Miss Qadira, can I tell you that we've had a TikTok account for almost a year and we have not posted one video yet. So we are going to get there eventually, apparently.
Yeah,
I need to do these dances.
Well, I think that you need to turn to Michaela and get her to figure it out because I don't know that much about TikTok yet.
Like, she's supposed to, I know, she's saying, all the kids are like, have you learned like the renegade dance or any of that? Like, I have to learn the dances. That's the problem.
She can't even learn it properly in slow-mo. It's easy.
I can do these dances. I just have to take the time. Okay, so somebody's saying that they follow our TikTok. Thanks. We're going to get a video up soon. Anyways, thank you again, Miss Qadira, for joining us on KiddieNomics. Thank you for everybody that joined today. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week with Mr. Ryan Henry.
Next week?
Yeah, next week. It's not, no, the week after is April 2nd. Oh. So we'll see you next week with Mr. Ryan Henry for about commercial real estate. But this week was awesome with Miss Qadira. Everybody have a good week and bye.